Greetings. Well, before I just go off and forget what I'm talking about, I at least want to mention a book right now on the topic of Iran, Venezuela, what we do, regime change. Actually, a couple books that go together really well is Confessions of an Economic Hitman and All the Shah's Men. That was the book I want to tell you about. All the Shah's Men. And actually Overthrow. Anyway, All the Shah's Men. Stephen Kinzer. Stephen Kinzer. Great. Clear. Excellent writing. Great book. Great history. You want to find out what Roosevelt's, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What about Kermit Roosevelt? Did you know about Kermit? So, what about the origins of the CIA? Now, the thing about NPR now, I listen to NPR today, and they've got a lot to cover right now. And while they're still making everything about Trump, they're totally focused on Trump a lot, They can't mention the CIA. Can't mention any other players. Well, right now there's a bunch of protesters in Iran. And these protesters are actually, a lot of them are professional invading provocateurs, sponsored by Israel and the United States and England, right? Mossad. And this isn't, I'm not making this up. It's, acknowledged widely by everyone except Western media, by liberals in the United States and Western media. They won't know that these protesters in Iran aren't about women's rights. No, it's not. It's really not about women's rights. I wish it was. That's cool. That is a cool thing, right? And actually, Iran was a secular democracy under Mossadegh. They had elected a leader named Mossadegh. It was a secular democracy. It was very advanced. This is the remnants of Persia, by the way, Iran. But what the United States decided to do was install the Shah of Iran. Install the Shah. Pull him out of shame and hiding. And then there was this police agency, the Savek. The things they did to people were horrible. Do you like having a nose on your face? Anyway, the Savek, the Shah of Iran, brutal, horrible. I guess you could still call it secular under the Shah. And of course, scholars around the world, people who knew anything about anything that was going on, knew that this was going to lead to a revolution. And actually, all the elements on the ground, the ones who were kind of able to lead it, form like a revolutionary base of some sort, were just happened to be Shia Islam, Ayatollah Khomeini, So it'd be kind of like Jerry Falwell. It'd be like something really unpopular happened in America, and Pat Robertson led a uprising and took over. But then after that, and really impose a harsh, version of evangelical Christianity on the whole country. And that's kind of like what happened in Iran. And it's about oil, definitely. Not only just oil, though. That's too reductive about Iran. That I think is great description of Venezuela. But, it's Iran. It's kind of location, location. There's other resources, other reasons, right? And to also free up the Greater Israel Project for the Zionists. You don't want to have a strong Shia Islam regime next door, you know. So anyway, I really like this, but so I wanted to mention those books, and also the fact that just to, you know, scrutinize what you're getting in the press right now. I'm not getting hardly any press because I'm at work too much and I'm tired. But whatever you're getting, whatever I'm hearing, it's not very inclusive of the truth. There's certain huge players left out. It's kind of like if I was describing a, I don't know, like a Olympics to you, like, you know, and then, but I only, through the filter, I don't even tell you about the gold medalist and the silver medalist. I have you focused on the bronze medalist and who they were competing with. And you're not even saying the name of the gold medalist. You don't even know who the gold medalist is, right? You don't even know what's happening. So that's what I sense from listening to NPR and hearing what people are saying at my work. You know, there's just, it's not, people are so nice and I love them and stuff, but, you know, I have certain people, it's like, I could be telling them something that's the CIA is doing or something, you know what I mean? And then they'll turn around and just go, oh, Trump, you know, I hate Trump. And I'm like, no, I understand, brother. You know, Trump is kind of, because Trump is the president, it is kind of enabling this in a weird way. Although it's not really Trump, but by himself doing this, right? It's more like he's kind of like going along or not able to direct another way. He's kind of lost the oar of the boat here. And we're back to same old elements running things ever since the same ones that killed Kennedy and have started all these wars and done all this stuff, nefarious stuff, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, this a system of bribery and framing and entrapment and Epsteining people. Let's make that a verb now. Epsteining. Honeypot, the honeypot. That's actually, it's more of an old Israeli thing, right? Zionist thing. But anyway, so we're not dealing, that's kind of the gorilla on the planet right now, are the Zionists. That's like if there's like a big bully on your block, and he's obviously the one who, you know, threatened people and beat up a couple people, and kind of running the block, getting all the money, getting all your money. You're not going to as good a school because of the bully on the block. You're not getting as good a health care because of the bully on the block. The bully on the block is getting a lot of your money. And unfortunately, the bully on the block has kind of muscled and taken over your city government. When you go look at your city government, oh, they're all friends of the bully on the block. They're from the same neighborhood where the bully on the block is from, right? This is what's happened, and it's Israel, and people can't talk about it. But then that's also kind of reductive, I think, in a way, to say Israel, right? I mean, we're on a planet where the British, you know, have been a major imperial force. And then you have these huge other, like, super population heavy war power, pretty much, China, you know, and really advanced Russia, and, you know, just, I mean, you have, and China's super advanced also. And you got this AI race going on right now. Who's gonna control the digital prison that we're all gonna live under? You know, that kind of thing. So this is it's crazy right now. It's just crazy. I think that's why the stakes are so high, is that it's like the setup for what's going to come next is so much about to happen. You know, it's like the concrete's about to get poured. I've got my forms. I got the concrete going over this way, you know. You get the concrete going over there, and so now the battle's on. The cement truck's showing up tomorrow. And that's kind of what's happening with the AI coming on, and all these data centers. So now it's kind of peaking the resource grab for the minerals and the energy and the power. It's on. The naked resource grab is on. IDF trained ICE agents, if you want to call them that. They're just deputized thugs, a lot of them. Some of them are real law enforcement. You can just conflate the whole thing, right? Conservatives who describe them all, no, that's just like your normal neighborhood cop and you're going to shoot him, No, bro. You should see the way they act. The things they do, their behavior merits the feedback they get, right? It's their behavior. They went out there. You can go out there in a tactical gear and look like a jerk all you want, but if you're not beating anybody up or grabbing people, some Americans are going to make fun of you, but no one's going to try to hassle you. The only reason you're getting hassled is because you're subverting the Constitution and hurting people in public and on footage and going above and beyond what you need to do. We're seeing a lot of footage, not just that which is the big footage, but just a lot of footage. It's just encounters with the ICE agents where they just boom, they just decide at the end to just punch you in the face or just push you in the snow or just whatever it is that they do. It's petty and crappy. And that's not a trained law enforcement professional. And that's why soldiers are not good law enforcers. The whole setup, the whole paradigm is a different idea. The law enforcer is himself living under the law, is enforcing laws that have been democratically voted on by a civilian government in civilian control of the police forces. Domestic police forces are there to serve and protect the citizens. That's it, and enforce the laws. So, soldiers are there to terrorize a population, are there to win a war, to fight war, to do war. Right? There are different objectives, different approach, different. How do you think of the population? And a lot of times when you're fighting war, also you have to realize who the enemy is. And that gets complicated. That's the problem. That's been the problem since like Vietnam or Korea, whatever. But defining that the enemy, and that's basically just because you're like a neo-imperialist idiot out there doing shit you shouldn't be doing anyway. Okay, that's that situation. But so there you are. You're out there in that situation, and in your war, you're taking the war to the enemy, right? And then you're maybe trying to have allies. Also, even in the zone, you could have allies. The local population might be trying to win the hearts and minds, win the peace, as it were, with the locals. And maybe there's invading North Koreans that you're trying to fight, and Chinese, and you're not trying to fight the South Koreans, for example. That would be a setup of that, where you're in South Korea, but you're not just treating South Koreans like shit and punching them and pushing them into the snow and doing stuff like that, right? You're actually seeing them as the ally. They're the reason you're there, the raison d'etre, and you're protecting them. You're helping them against these other invaders that and have defined. Hey, these are the North Koreans and the Chinese or Japanese, whoever it is, right? That's coming in and being hostile and aggressive. So that's the objective of a soldier. And then in that context, they act kind of brutal. They do things, and they're not about protecting constitutional rights with the, like soldiers of war. Your standards are a little different. And I'm not saying that's correct. I'm not, celebrating that. And actually, the better soldiers, the better, more successful armies, don't waste energy and time being sadistic with their captives either. It's rare, but there are professional armies that treat their captives with respect, and it's good for them in the long run if they do that. They also know that if they torture people they've captured and let sadistic things with animals and sexuality and stuff happen, and power trips and learned helplessness and all that kind of crap, when they let all that happen, that also comes back, some weird ways. Does weird things to the people that do it. Doesn't get you good results. How often do you think you're going to get fresh, good information from somebody that the enemy knows you've captured? You don't. It's worthless. And so doing it is cruel and unusual and sadistic. And it's something that after the Geneva Conventions and other agreements, treaties and agreements and statements and so forth, kind of general culture was this idea that torturing, is kind of going backwards, that it's our species not doing well. And unfortunately, in the modern times, the culture has embraced torture and war, and it's suffering. It's going to suffer. Local populations all over the planet are being drained, or just killed, or imprisoned, or what have you, enslaved. It's war. That's war. And I have really tried to oppose war all my life, like really a lot, Sometimes I've said it's okay. I've gone kind of Reagan, weird for a minute or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. But, it was never for the purpose of being sadistic, though, or anything like that. It was just maybe for standing up to the Russians or, whatever it was. Like, oh, okay, look, we could lose our interest in this zone or something like that. Whatever. I was kind of trying to be a young Republican for a minute. But, like laissez-faire or whatever. Yeah, our interests, what have you have to defend, and there are some nefarious actors out there and blah, blah. But for the most part, all my life, though, starting with even when I was a kid, Vietnam War, and all the way through the 80s, and opposing Iran-Contra, trying to expose the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, talking about the liberation theologist, talking about Archbishop Oscar Romero, talking about, just things that happened, things went down, School of the Americas, what have you, Panama, Manuel Noriega. Who remembers that? It was like a little test run for some of what's to come. Oh, we're going to try out some new weapons, maybe. Oh, that's nice. Let's burn some people in their cars with weird heat lasers or something. I don't know. That was like Manuel Noriega, Chorilla neighborhood of Panama back then. But fast forward now, you got Venezuela, and they've definitely used directed energy weapons against these people who described what happened to them. They went blind. They fell to the ground, started to bleed profusely out of their noses. All their communications were suddenly silenced. This devastating impact of this type of attack. And this is modern warfare now. So that also changes the whole game. It's like, oh, so you guys have a little militia somewhere and some body armor and bullets. Nice. How does that work when you all just get grounded by an energy weapon from a satellite, How those bullets working for you, I don't know. It's a whole new game now. It's a whole new game. We need journalists. Gosh darn it. We just really need journalists. And love and a peace movement again. Whatever administration is in, that's the thing too. The peace movement before was more savvy. It really was. And we wouldn't fall for Democratic crap or being allowed to devolve into personality politics to the point that it has now. And I'll just leave you with that. I hope for peace. Exposing the evil ones now. There's so much evil all around. The truth needs to come out. The Department of Homeland Security needs to be dismantled. We have plenty of police agencies already. We have an FBI. We have a CIA. We don't need another police agency, one called the Department of Homeland Security, which is just look what it's leading to. Look what it's led to since its inception. And this crap in Iran, don't believe it. We need to pull back in, focus at home, and deal with Israel. The world needs to deal with Israel somehow. It's the bully on the block. And I'll just leave you with that. Peace and love.